Picture this. You're sitting in a project planning meeting. Everyone is like aggressively optimistic, high-fiving over the timeline and all that.
Oh, yeah. We've definitely all been in that room.
Right. And you spot this massive glaring flaw right in the middle of the roadmap. But you just keep your mouth shut. Why? Well, because nobody wants to be the downer who ruins the vibe, you know?
Well,
Welcome to the deep dive.
It's a classic trap, honestly.
It really is. Today, we are unpacking a June 2026 HRDQ blog post by Bradford R. Glazer. We're looking into exactly why team projects fail and, well, how to save them before they even get off the ground.
Which is incredibly necessary. I mean, if you really think about how often things go sideways.
Exactly. Think of a standard project kickoff, like a group of friends packing for a road trip. Everyone just insists the weather is going to be absolutely flawless, so you leave the umbrella behind just so you don't look like a pessimist.
And then, I mean, invariably you find yourself stranded in the pouring rain, because we've all participated in that really polite but kind of destructive silence.
I hear that, but okay, let's unpack this a bit. Practically speaking, aren't we supposed to be building confident teams?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course you want drive and enthusiasm.
Right, because if everyone is fired up, doesn't stopping to point out how it could all crash and burn just, completely kill the momentum?
That is the fear, yeah. But there is a really vital difference between confidence and just blind optimism.
Oh, interesting. How so?
When confidence morphs into optimism, bias, and groupthink, a team basically creates this culture that actively rewards certainty while quietly burying any doubt.
Oh, I see. Because voicing a concern suddenly feels like you're attacking a colleague's really great idea.
Precisely. And the doubts, they don't actually go away. They're still there. They just go underground. The problems get ignored right up until the project actively fails.
Which leads to those incredibly painful postmortem meetings, where the budget is already blown, trust is totally eroded, and half the room is secretly thinking, I knew this was going to happen 6 months ago.
Yeah, that is exactly what we want to avoid.
Yeah. So if optimism bias is essentially this inability to visualize our own failure, how do we legally cheat time, I guess, to force our brains to see those blind spots without ruining morale?
Well, the blog post highlights a really fascinating technique for this. It was popularized by the psychologist Gary Klein, and it's called the premortem.
Okay, a premortem. I like the sound of that. How does it actually work?
It's incredibly effective, and it actually relies on a cognitive principle known as prospective hindsight.
Prospective hindsight. Wait, what does that mean in practice?
Basically, you tell the team to imagine that it's, say, a year later, and the project has been an absolute unmitigated disaster, just a complete failure.
Wait, really? So the trick isn't just asking people what might go wrong, it's the specific phrasing that the failure is already in the past.
Exactly. That framing is everything. When we look forward, our brains are hardwired to plan for success. We have a very aspirational mindset.
Which makes it really hard to predict our own ruin.
Yes, exactly. But by telling the brain the failure has already happened, you shift from this planning mode into an investigating mode.
Oh, here is where it gets really interesting. You're bypassing that optimism bias because you are no longer predicting the future. You are basically solving a mystery.
That is a great way to put it. Mitchell, Russo, and Pennington actually ran a study on this concept back in 1989.
Oh, wow. What did they find?
They found that if you ask a group to imagine an event has already failed outright, their ability to correctly identify the reasons for that failure jumps by a massive 30%.
A 30% improvement. That's wild. It's almost like a crash test for business ideas. You intentionally drive the dummy into the wall to find the weak points before you put a real human in the driver's seat.
Exactly. And socially, it totally removes the pressure.
Right, because you're no longer the office pessimist. You are just playing along with the mental exercise.
Right. It gives everyone the psychological safety to voice those anxieties they were already holding on to anyway. But to get that 30% boost, the execution has to be precise.
Okay, so how do you actually run this with a team? I think the post mentioned you can do it in just 15 minutes.
Yeah, about 15 minutes. But the very first step usually catches people completely off guard.
Ah, yes, the silent start. Because you don't just sit down and start brainstorming out loud, right? You actually have to start with 5 to 10 minutes of absolute solo silent writing.
And that silence is completely non-negotiable. It leverages the science of brainwriting. Because, well, think about a standard meeting. Whoever speaks first creates an anchor.
Oh, right. They automatically bias the rest of the room.
Exactly. People will, consciously or subconsciously, adjust their own thoughts to align with that first voice, usually just to avoid social friction.
Which basically means the loudest person in the room ends up dictating the entire risk assessment. So the silence completely levels the playing field.
It really does. It ensures that the quieter individuals, or maybe newer team members who might be a bit afraid to speak up, they all get an equal voice. Everyone starts with a blank page.
That makes so much sense. So once the silence is over, you go around the room, share the ideas, and cluster the risks together.
Yes, and this leads to the absolutely crucial follow-through, the make-or-break final rule.
Right, assigning ownership.
Hmm.
Once you have these clustered problems, every single one of them has to be assigned, not a department, just one single name.
Because of the bystander effect. If a whole group owns a problem, nobody actually feels the pressure to fix it. Everyone just assumes someone else will handle it.
Yeah, if you skip assigning a specific owner, you didn't really do a premortem, you just hosted a really organized complaint session.
And nobody needs more of those on their calendar, that's for sure.
Definitely not. So the next time you are gearing up for a project, remember that taking just a 10 or 15-minute detour for a premortem isn't pessimism, it's preparation.
It really is. It's like the cheapest insurance policy a team can buy.
Totally. And it leaves us with an interesting kind of provocative thought to chew on. If a simple 15-minute exercise in mental time travel can reveal these hidden fatal flaws in our professional projects,
Yeah.
well, what major decisions in your personal life might benefit from imagining everything going completely wrong before you even take that first step? Might save you from walking out into the rain without an umbrella.
That is a really great question to ponder.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.